Hello everybody and welcome back to A Royal Reader. My name is Cici and today I'm going to be talking about some of the books that I have completed within the last 3-4ish months. It has not been a good reading time. I was going to say journey, but it's not been a good reading time. I have been in a reading slump, so it is not being helpful whatsoever. It's a very loud car. But anyway, let's get into it. So, first book that I managed to finish was my reread of Queen of Shadows by Sarah J Maas, because I am rereading the series so I can eventually get to that big old chunker right there. So, I have not read that one. I have not read Empire of Storms. No, I have read Empire of Storms. That was the last one that I read, so I have 2 other books that I need to read before I can get to that one. So, finish this one. 4th book in the Queen Throne of Glass series. 4th book if you count Assassin's Blade. Nonetheless, if you didn't know what this is about, we follow our main character, Selena Slardorthian. She is an assassin. In this, we follow our main character, Selena Slardorthian. She is one of like the well-known assassins in the kingdom. And she was sent to prison and is now being dragged out of prison with the possibility of being free from all of her debts if she manages to win the king's game, I guess you could say, and become the king's champion to do his bidding for a little bit. And while she's doing that, a lot of the other competitors start to die off. So she sort of tasks herself to go and seek out why these people are dying. And yes, I gave a very bad summary of this, but if you don't know what the series is about, you're very, very new to reading YA and just reading in general, basically. Next, I did my reread of House of Earth and Blood, Crescent City. I tabbed the mother effing heck out of it and loved every minute of it. I will say though, I did not enjoy it as much as I did the first time round. I gave the first time read 5 stars, second time 4 stars. Mainly because I realised that Sarah J Maas uses a lot of the same tropes, and when you have reread multiple copies of her books, you start to see them and you start to get a little bored. So unfortunately, the ending was kind of ruined for me because it was very similar to something else that I have read before. So yes, but if you don't know what this is about, I'm sure you do, but if you don't. Bryce Quinlan is our main character. She is half fae, half human, and she is asked by the government of this city to assist in a murder investigation because she is connected to the suspect in certain ways, and because this investigation is extremely dangerous, they task Hunt Athalar, the fallen angel, to be Bryce's bodyguard. That is the general overview, but it's a Sarah J Maas book, so you know that that's not the main plot. I still really enjoyed it, and yeah, I really enjoyed tabbing. You can't even see all my tabs. I had a lot of fun. So the next book that I finished was one that I picked up on Kindle Unlimited, and it was called The North Wind by Alexandria Warwick. Didn't really enjoy this all that much. It was a very long-winded 600-page book. It was meant to be sort of like Hades and Persephone inspired, where we have our main character, Ren, I think her name was. So we have our main character Ren, who ends up becoming the bride to the North Wind, who is essentially like a Hades person. In this, the 4 winds are like personified, so they are like basically like fae people, I guess you could say. Yeah, it's basically just like their romantic journey. They started as enemies to lovers, and I just didn't like it. The writing was very beautiful, but it was also extremely long-winded and boring. I gave this one 2 stars. The next one that I finished was one that I just decided to pick up on a whim because it was on Kindle Unlimited. That is The Never King, which is book 1 in the Vicious Lost Boys series by Nikki St. Crow. This is a sort of Peter Pan smut book. Was not expecting that. I saw somebody say that one of the characters reminded them of Cassian from Court of Thorns and Roses, so I was like, oh yes, please give that to me. So this, I'll just read you the synopsis because that's just the easiest thing. All the stories were wrong. Hook was never the villain. For 2 centuries, all of the darling women have disappeared on their 18th birthday. Sometimes they're gone for only a day, sometimes a week or a month, but they always return broken. Now, on the afternoon of my 18th birthday, my mother is running around the house making sure all the windows are barred and the doors are locked, but it's pointless, because whenever night falls, he comes for me. And this time, the Never King and the Lost Boys aren't willing to let me go. The Never King is a dark retelling of Peter Pan and Wendy. If you like enemies to lovers romance with hot, ruthless, morally grey characters, you'll enjoy The Never King and the Lost Boys. You can expect hate kissing, fighting, bickering, and touch her and I'll unalive you vibes. That is true. That I will say is true. But there's a couple of kinks in there that I did not like. So I was like, eh. But it was interesting nonetheless, and I do want to pick up the next book to see what exactly happens. So, yeah. The next one that I finished was actually a reread for me, and it was just on a whim because I have quite the commute to my current workplace. It's about an hour. So I decided to pick up an audiobook on a whim from the library, and I decided to pick up The Diviners by Libba Bray on audio. So the first time I read this, I got 276 pages in and DNF'd it because it is so long and so boring. I finished it this time round listening to the audiobook. It took me about 3 days to get through, listening on 2 times speed, the hour there and back that it takes me to drive to work. I can still say that it's boring. I can still say that I have no idea what the main plot of this whole series is, but I was intrigued. I'm going to continue the rest of the series. I love the vibes. The vibes in this are immaculate. That I will say. So this follows Evie O'Neill, who is trying to be a flapper girl in the 1920s of New York City, which is where she gets sent to because she messed up in her little country town. And so she gets sent to stay with her uncle in New York City. And while she is there, her uncle gets invited to help work on a series of murder cases because they are of occultish nature, and her uncle runs an occultish museum. What is it? The Museum of American Folklore, Superstition, and the Occult. There you go. So she tags along with these, and you learn that she has this special ability, which is where she can touch something, and it's a personal item of a person. She can discover their deep and dark secrets and stuff like that. So yeah, there's also a whole bunch of other like main characters, I guess you could say, that we follow along, but I still don't know what their whole point is. So it's a little bit long-winded, it's a little bit boring, but the vibes, which is really the only thing that it has going for me at this point. If you have read this book, please let me know if I should continue it or not. A book that I'm currently reading at the moment that I have not finished yet but will soon is The Hunt by Frost K, the first book in the Twisted Kingdoms series. This is interesting, but it's also very easy to read, so I'm just going to read you the synopsis of it because I cannot be bothered to try and think of how to tell you what the book is about. Death marked her from her very first breath. Being sired by a Madrid is supposed to be a blessing, but for Tempest, it's a curse that leaves her orphaned, penniless, and enslaved to a bloodthirsty crown on the brink of war. Found too unruly to become a ward of the court, she is thrust into the care of the king's hounds, the assassins and warriors responsible for protecting the kingdom. Driven by rage and an oath to avenge her mother's memory, Tempest throws herself into her training, but becoming the first ever female assassin isn't enough. Now she must obtain the heart of the kingdom's most feared enemy, the Jester, a deadly shapeshifter hidden in the land twisted by myth and darkness. Revenge is never easy or cheap. Tempest is willing to sacrifice everything to see justice served, even her own soul and freedom. Enter the world of the Twisted Kingdom at your own risk, where monsters wear pretty masks. If you love fiery heroines, sexy villains, enemies to lovers romance, pounding action, mafia undertones, and dark fairy tales, you need to discover the new series readers are comparing to Holly Black's Cruel Prince and Leigh Bardugo's Six of Crows. So yes, I'm in the middle of reading that. It's going okay. I think I'm almost finished with it. I am also almost halfway through The Discovery of Witches by Deborah Harkness, but that I have not picked up in quite some time. I don't even know where I've bloody put the book. I have new shelves, by the way, in case you couldn't tell. I'm kind of almost halfway, so yeah. Reading has not been going good, so if you guys have any suggestions on how to get out of a reading slump, let me know down in the comments below, please. But nonetheless, those are the books that I have completed with over the last 3 months. It's not been the best, not going to lie. So yeah. If you enjoyed this video, do give it a thumbs up and let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. If you'd like to see more of me, then do be sure to hit the subscribe button and also check out my Instagram and Twitter. Links are always in the description box below. If you would like to see any type of videos from me, then do be sure to leave it in the comments because I am short on ideas. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I will see you guys in another video later on.